This is breaking news.
The evidence, the way it was presented, the things that they didn't do as far as going to getting the video surveillance cameras, doing the call detail records where the tower hits and all that could have been done, and we could have avoided this nightmare.
What was the one point of discrediting Cornelius Smith?
You can't just pick one. I mean, the whole thing was a joke. Even down to the neighbor that he supposedly gave $500 to, none of it was true. None of it happened. I don't even know if they have the right car because there wasn't a drop of blood in that thing. They didn't wipe it down because the expert said no, there was no evidence of bleach in that car. Nothing that man said was true.
Jesse Browning's testimony, you proved that to be.
Was there one moment in which you just knew that we have this? Or are you always sort of on edge until that verdict comes through?
I'm always on edge because there's cases I thought I would have won easily, and the jurors just get swayed by the publicity and the media. It's been so one-sided, calling him a mastermind. The press has been going crazy because only the DA talks. And that's the problem with our system, is because they make such a good first impression saying everybody's guilty that it's hard to get a fair trial. But thank God we got jurors. They took hundreds of pages of notes, and it didn't take them, 2 hours to figure out this was all garbage.
And they virtually echoed everything that he said in closing. And they were very critical that anyone could be locked up that long and didn't have the resources to defend themselves. The jurors said that. They echoed that. And the guy said, I am offended. I'm offended by this. And he said, and he was disappointed in Mulroy. And that's your elected official. That's my elected official because I live here. And you just go and do something.
You called that testimony with Jesse Browning BS a joke. Why?
Because it was. Half the stuff was just made up within a couple of days of this stuff, and they give us this mystical receipt that's never been in any of the police reports. The jurors didn't buy it for a second. The lead investigator, Dabney, was incredibly honest when he said these are the mistakes that we made, and then you call up somebody that's willing to do or say anything to clean up the case to get a conviction. You saw how they shaded off the phone records. Where are the text messages? Where's any of that from Justin Johnson to our client saying we're going to do something? I presented hundreds of text messages where he's threatening people, trying to go shoot people with others. Govan was never in on any of it. And the fact that you're still asking me these questions I find offensive because it didn't happen. You would never take anything you heard in that courtroom for any decision you would make in your life that has any significance. You would laugh at me if I said believe those guys. So let's just keep it real. This is all garbage, and I'm grateful that he's out, and I'm sorry in the world that he had to do 9 months in prison. And I'm just grateful his fiance called me, and we have the resources to help poor people.
You were very passionate in your closing arguments about, about Govan being just a man from Orange Mound up against the system. Kind of talk about where that passion came from.
When I go to 201 and look at the people that are in there, I know a lot of people do wrong, and I understand that, and I don't want violence in the streets because I live, in towns as well. But it's just so wrong. If I can see it, there's no way a jury couldn't see it, and that's why it took, 2 hours to figure that out. I mean, obviously it would have probably been quicker had they not had to go through the evidence and do their job, but the fact that anybody in the press would say, oh, it was this or it was that, it was clearly flagrant, and I wish we'd be reported as this is what your justice is in Memphis. So if you're black and poor, you got a problem.
So this was
Mr. Govan, how do you feel?
Mr. Rohr, this is pro bono. I was unclear.
Feel great.
Yeah. Oh, it was. Okay.
To finally have this stress taken off your shoulders.
Yeah, and have my life back.
What is the first thing you plan to do?
Go hug my son.
Mr. Govan, you haven't smiled all this week, but obviously you have a lot to smile about. Just tell me about what you're feeling in right now.
Like I said, it's kind of hard to explain the feeling of getting your life back, just from 12 people, so I'm just blessed, and I'm just ready to go see my son.
What was going through your head when you were waiting for the verdict this morning?
Nervousness, of course, it's natural, but I got a team around me that was very confident and supportive, so without them, it wouldn't be no me. I just want to thank again Manny, Robert, Haley, Beth, Handel, Quantrell, Leanne, just everybody that played a part in proving my innocence.
You heard your attorney say if you're black and poor in Memphis, this is what happens. What would be your words of advice?
Leave Memphis.
Do you plan on leaving Memphis, sir?
Of course.
Was there any point throughout the week where you're like, you know what, I'm still nervous, prior to the verdict? Was there any point where it's like, I don't know which way it's going to go?
I've been nervous for 4 years.
How does it feel to be at the end of this 4-year journey that you've been on?
It feels great. Just feel like I've been born again. I get a chance to restart my life and do some positive things.
Do you think that this verdict will change how the court system is working here in Memphis?
As corrupt this system is, I doubt it.
Mr. Aurora, do you think this verdict will change anything with the court system here in Memphis?
I'm not here from Memphis, but if this is a microcosm of what's going on, then you should all be worried. And maybe we should be digging into these things and figuring out why so many people are in jail, why we keep them without bond and force them into pleas and things of that nature, and why investigations aren't always there. Thankfully, my office has the resources to help these types of people and can spend the money to do it. I can only imagine how hard it is for the public defenders with their cases or other appointed lawyers that couldn't do this, and how many people shouldn't be in prison.
Oh, back in December, is that the reason? Obviously, you advised your client not to take that plea.
That's always his decision. I don't advise him to do anything. They always say, what would I do? And I'm like, I'm not serving the time, so I have no idea. I can't go through that stress. You can't duplicate that. I mean, I love the man. I believed in him. That's why I took the case, and we fought like hell for it. I'm grateful that the staff stayed with me. I yelled at them a lot this week and put a lot of pressure on them. We worked long nights for the last few months. We filed, I don't know how many, 24 motions, most of which were granted, which never happens, but it was so obvious we were right, and yet still we have a case. The government just can't ever admit that maybe there isn't anything here. They'll just prosecute, and then blame the jury if it doesn't go your way.
Mr. Aurora, the law enforcement experts that testified this week, they said several times that they never spoke with Mr. Mims, but they never really gave a clear answer as to why. Why do you think that is?
Because they're not telling the truth. They never went out to go talk to him. And to say that, oh, he would have just gotten a lawyer so we didn't bother, are you kidding me? Everybody gets a lawyer if they're smart as far as that goes. But they've threatened other witnesses to come in and say whatever. Your question should be, what about all the people after the fact that helped? If, assuming the man was shot or was given clothes or they went to this apartment or somebody helped him escape to Indiana, what happened to all those people that were supposed to be charged? What about all the people in the text messages where I showed you blatantly they're talking about shooting people and shootings happened? Nobody's indicted. What about the guy that carjacked the Mercedes, Treon Ingram? He's not charged with anything. He's picked up a subsequent murder since then. So you explain to me how that is. And then when they say in their closing statement, the gall of it all to say we can't arrest everybody, yet they're running 14 and 15 defendant RICO cases, I mean, just come on. It's they made up their mind. Juk wasn't going to get charged, maybe because he was going to get fancy lawyers that could see through all this BS. I don't know. They have all the texts.
Or maybe it's something darker.
And you came from where exactly? I'm sorry.
I'm from Atlanta, is where our office is.
And then this was a Shelby County jury?
Yes.
Correct, okay. Triple check.
Yes. Yes.
Is there a reason why you didn't request a jury from out of town?
Because I think the case was so bad that Memphis juries and people that live here need to see what really happens. And so I don't need to play games and get somebody from out of town. The Memphis people need to see what happens in Memphis.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Scathing remarks from Manny Aurora, the lead defense attorney for Hernandez Govan. He said the whole thing was a joke. He said nothing that man said was true, talking about the star witness Cornelia Smith. Scathing.
Yeah, and probably most consequential thing that I heard there, Hernandez Govan saying, I've been nervous for the last 4 years, wondering what his life was going to be. Said he's incredibly happy to have his life back.
And then said, what do you plan to do? He indicated he planned to leave Memphis. But the first thing he wants to do is go see his son.